The way you're coming off isn't working. Sorry, just tell me how you feel. You can say what you gotta say, but just chill and say it. Don't quit, you're like attacking. Why are you attacking? It's not a person, this is what he's saying. It's not anything personal against any of you. You don't get paid for what you do.
Right.
I appreciate the time that you put in, and I applaud all the hours that you put in. But we are a democratic country. We have different opinions. If we choose not to like something, then you, as the board who chose to take that position on, should just at least listen. Doesn't mean you have to attack any more than he should attack you, correct?
Well, it's a free country. I mean, I can speak in a
understand,
manner which I like.
but we're here talking about what we want to do to move forward for the better of the district. And he's just pointing out his differences, and people who, some of us agree, some of us don't agree. And you're coming off as an attack. That's all I'm trying to say.
So it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying.
Exactly.
Let's get back to the candidates. Let's get back to the candidates. Even you can. Let's get back to the candidates.
That's fine.
Okay, let's get back to the candidates.
I have seen, and I've spent a lot of time, and I don't spend time at meetings, but it seems like there has been a shift in our core comparisons. I'm not sure that's ever been stated out loud. I have seen shifts in how we look at numbers, make it more difficult to compare year to year. I'm not an accountant, so duly noted, Scott, thank you. What I'd like to ask the candidates on this is, as you look to create a successful campaign and become elected, and look back afterwards on a successful stint on the board, how would you define success? And how would you help define some of the metrics that have caused people who may not agree with some of the metrics to say, hey, at least I get it now. I may not like it, but I get it. Okay? That was the point I was trying to make. I hope that's okay. And unless there's any further clarifications, I would love to open it up for a more open board discussion. And Scott, if you'd like to take some time with me, I'll open the tab and stay all night while you explain finances to me. But we'll do that separately. And I will tell the whole world on the site tomorrow, who bothers to read it, what a great time we had. So, candidates, I kind of want to open it up.
So restate the question.
Restate the question.
You're clear, yeah.
There has been a in how we look at and how we may be looking at peer groups. There may have been a shifting in how we look at numbers. Okay? What I want the candidates to say is, as you look forward to the end of your first term, how would you define a successful stint on the board, and what metrics would you use to measure that? That would be...
Stop there, stop there. That's a good question.
Thank you. Okay. I was going to say, Chris, you stood up. You get it.
Yeah, I'm just, my back's not doing so well. Ouch. Well, that's going to leave a mark. So, just so I understand the question, it was what metrics would we point to say, yeah, it was a successful 4 years on the board? Well, I said at the beginning of my opening statement, the schools are here to educate. That's what we're here for. To me, most other stuff is secondary. So, how well did we do educating? One metric I've asked for as long as I've been here is, how do our students do when they reach District 155? Where are they getting placed in 9th grade? And ideally, how do they do all the way through high school? We've occasionally gotten data from District 155, but they've not been really willing to open the kimono and show us everything. I think they're, I don't know if they just don't want us to compare ourselves with Fox River Grove or some of the other feeder districts, but that's one measure that I would use if the data is available. Whether I like it or not, we appear to be driving towards Common Core standards. The assessment there is called the PARCC assessment, PARCC, and those tests are not going to replace the ISATs. And theoretically, we'll be able to compare ourselves to not only everybody else in Illinois, but everybody else in the 46 states that are adopting the Common Core standards. So, you know, how are we successful there? We're here to educate. Are we successful in academic achievement? As a secondary measure, did we keep our financials in line? Did we stay within our budget? Did we live within our means? And I think those would be the key metrics.
I think Chris is, pretty much, there's really, only a few ways that you can measure, metrics, and obviously test scores is the obvious one. I'd say if you look at the 3 elementary schools that we have in the district, you'll see that there's a gap, between, all 3 of them. I think it would be important over the next 4 years we can close that gap so, there's not such a big difference from one school to the next. I think, with the new curriculum that we're getting, and it's going to be more, consistent across the district, I hope that, that would help, close that gap where everyone's using the same materials. It'll give us a much better idea as to, how the kids are doing on, using the same materials. Other than that, I mean, from the junior high, compare it to, other districts in the area, and see how we compare.
I totally agree with what Scott said. I would just add to that a little bit and say I would hope that other districts would start comparing themselves to us instead of the other way around.
We run into this problem about trying to manage yourself. How do you do things that are inherently quantitative, such as the only thing we really have is test scores, and how important are they really in measuring things? And there's some more qualitative stuff. How happy our kids are, how happy is the community with what's going on, how the parents are. Maybe another quantitative would be just housing prices. Because they're so it's so linked to how the school district is doing. And that's one of the things that's starting to crazy about the school district. It doesn't seem like there's a plan, so we don't know where we're going, so there's all this uncertainty. And I think one of the things that we need to ask ourselves is, if we knew then what we know today, would we have ever moved in Cary? If you have a friend or a relative, or maybe somebody who's joining your company saying, I'm looking to buy a house, and I've got kids who are young, where should I look? Would you tell them, oh, you know what, there's this great house down the street from me, and your kids would love the Cary School District. So how do you measure this quantitative versus qualitative? So let's take this back to, I know the previous version of the question was benchmarking. Benchmarking, something we probably don't do enough of. And I'm not just talking about comparing test scores. It's actually getting out there and trying to do some analysis about how do we do things versus other districts. And maybe one of the ways we do that for the districts is through the benchmarking. And so the benchmarking is a couple things. Who do we aspire? What do we aspire to be? Is there another community out there that we say, we like what they're doing? Yes, we're Cary, we're not them, but what we learn from them and identify them and go out and do that. I'm probably going to go a little bit off tangent here. But I remember a couple of years ago when people like Mr. Coffey joined the board as an appointee, I also, that's about them I was involved in, I applied and wasn't chosen. But one of the things that I was very concerned about is we had all these challenges in the district, and it didn't seem like at that time the administration was really capable of tackling everything that could and should be done. And I was kind of questioning, why aren't you engaging parents? Because this is Cary. I mean, we've got this great population of middle management, small business experience, big business experience, subject matter experts in a lot of different areas. Why aren't you? And then this idea, that's good, and I'm probably sure they heard from other people, and that's when the CEC came on. And I took what that was. I said, no, this is what I was, thinking of it. And I had to say, and I know there's a lot of people who've been on it and have spent a lot of time on it, but I'm not really sure there's any great outcomes that come out of the CEC. There's been some good discussion, probably influenced the administration some, and added some things, but I'm not really sure there's any great outcomes. So the question is not only for us as a board, but the challenge is that is the board and the administration engage the community and the community get engaged. I have to thank Mr. Hillman for for putting this on. I know you've gotten a lot of bashing online, but I know you're thick-skinned and you can give it back. But and unfortunately, I was at the CEC meeting yesterday, and unfortunately, Mr. Myers wasn't there because he's sick. So that means the attendance from in the audience was half of what it normally is. Because his wife wasn't there, and if I hadn't shown up, nobody would have. So it's getting, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it's because we have a lot of people who are just giving up on the district. It is what it is, and no one's reaching out to them. But I think there's a lot of pent-up demand there. And there's some certain areas that we very easily get involved in.
Can I just interject on what you just said? As bus drivers, again, we're frustrated. We get the pat on the back that we're doing a great job. I try to get other drivers here to come tonight, and because financially, it's upsetting to us. But a majority, no, I can't say all. A majority of them doesn't think it makes a difference anymore. It doesn't matter what our voices are. It doesn't matter what we have to say. And I think that's uncertain. That doesn't say a lot about our community, that people don't want to even come together to try to talk about this because it doesn't seem like it matters.
And I can think of a couple areas that right off the bat we can address, right? I think the school lunch program is awful. There is no way, my kids do not buy the school lunches. I think they're disgusting. And a lot of other parents, I'm sorry if you buy them, that's your choice. But I think, maybe that's the point. There's been a lot of talk about the technology plan. Well, anybody who's been in technology knows it moves very fast. There's a lot out there. I'm sure that our IT guy is just working hard enough just to keep the computers on. But I mean, this is Cary. There's a ton of IT professionals out here, or hobbyists, and Apple fanboys and Android fanboys and the like. So that's something else. I talk about benchmarking. Getting administration. How should our administration be organized? There's a lot of stuff going on. Maybe Mr. Pullman just doesn't have the time to go out and find out exactly how is Palatine organized. How is maybe Winnetka organized, and I should put together a plan about how should we be organized. Should the things that we're outsourcing that we're not, or the things that we're outsourcing that we shouldn't because of our size. So there's kind of like 3 quick things right there that have a lot of impact on things.
And rather